Good day, everyone. I'm Eduardo Tobias, founding partner of What Capital. We're a financial advisor firm dedicated exclusively to the renewable energy market in Brazil. I'll be your moderator of today's session. So I'd like to welcome you to the webinar Strategies and Technologies for Transporting and Storing Clean Hydrogen for Export from Brazil to Europe. This topic will also be discussed at the REMAD Brazil 2025 event that will be held in São Paulo in April. So welcome you to join us in April. I'm connecting from São Paulo, so I feel free to let us know where you're connecting from using the chat resource. The session is being recorded. It will last about 1 hour, and we're basically going to have 6 questions to be debating. There won't be any PowerPoint presentations. And if you see, there's also the Q&A box. We welcome you to submit questions to our speakers. If possible, please indicate who the question is to be addressed to. And that's it. Now let's meet our speakers for today. Let's start with Paula Perfeito. Please, Paula, go ahead.
Thank you, Tobias. Thank you, NEUMAN, also for the invitation to this webinar. So, hello everyone who is watching us right now. My name is Paula Perfeito. My background is master in chemical engineering, specialized in advanced materials and gas separation membranes. I work as area sales manager at NEUMAN and ESSER here in Brazil for the hydrogen projects that we are developing at our region. Just a brief introduction, NEUMAN and ESSER is a German origin company. We have almost 200 years of experience in handling technical gases, including hydrogen for sure. And we have a plant factory here in Brazil at the state of Minas Gerais, where we manufacture mills, compression system solutions, and of course, hydrogen generators such as electrolyzers and reformers, making us the pioneers for manufacturing those type of equipments here in our region in South America. So thank you for your time, and I hope we have a pleasant day during these discussions.
Thank you, Paula. I'll pass to Douglas. Please introduce yourself, Douglas.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Douglas Soares dos Santos. I'm working as a project R&D project manager at Galp. Just a brief introduction about Galp. Galp is an energy company, oil and gas energy company as well. So it's a Portuguese one, but we have operations in different countries. And also, one of them is Brazil. So my background I'm in chemical engineering. I also have a master's in biofuels and petrochemical engineering, and a PhD in chemical engineering as well. I've been working with CCUS and hydrogen technologies over 10 years. So, and also I would like to thank you, REMAD, for this invitation, and also for this opportunity to talk a little bit more about hydrogen. Thank you.
Very good, Douglas. Eric, please go ahead.
Well, thank you, Eduardo. Good morning. My name is Eric Daza, and I have over 15 years of experience in the energy sector with a focus on clean hydrogen. My work includes areas like regulation, certification, and feasibility studies. I have worked on clean hydrogen in more than 50 countries in Latin America and Caribbean, developing more than 6 national roadmaps in clean hydrogen. Recently, I have focused my work in Brazil, to help the country become a leader in the global hydrogen markets. I'm excited to share ideas today and how we can solve challenges and use opportunities in this fast-growing sector. Thank you to Remed for this invitation.
Thank you, Eric, for joining us. Alessandra, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you for having me here. My name is Alessandra Grangeiro. I am one of the commercial managers of the Industrial and Port Complex of Pecém. Our company is a Brazilian-Dutch joint venture company. Our shareholders are the government of the state of Ceará, our main shareholder, and Port of Rotterdam is our international shareholder. I've been working for this company for the past 6 years. And prior to that, I had an experience of 7 years in the steel mill, also established here in Pecém, former CSP, and today ArcelorMittal Pecém. So I've been working in this region for the past 13 years and basically working on a daily basis for the green hydrogen hub of our complex of Pecém since 2021. Thank you so much.
Great, Alessandra. Marcelo, please go ahead.
Good morning, everyone, and the audience. So pleasure to me to be also part of this webinar today. My name is Marcelo Schmitt. Have studied naval engineering and ocean engineering, and later did a master in business administration by Fundação Getúlio Vargas. Have built a career of more than 30 years in supply chain and logistics, part building of providers, logistics providers, and part in the industry. Current I'm general manager for Brazil, for Stolthaven. Stolthaven is also a Dutch company that belongs to a global group that has terminals, ships, and containers. Their business, and we transport the liquid and gas supply chain of our customers across the globe. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and I hope we have a pleasant time right now.
Great, Marcelo. I'm pleased to be beside great specialists in this topic here in Brazil. I hope everyone enjoys the content we're going to explore. So we'll start now with the round of questions. The first one to be addressed firstly to Douglas and then to Marcelo is what are the main challenges to store and transport green hydrogen for export purposes, and what technological advancements can enhance its efficiencies? So Douglas, if you may start, please.
Yeah, thank you, Eduardo, for this opportunity as well, and also for this question. One of the most important challenge that we have to solve and also to pass through to develop this technology is to create one technology to transport and also to transport and also to export hydrogen in a safe way, due to the pressure that is needed to control, to hold the hydrogen in a store tank or in a cylinder or wherever. But the problem is that it's too much pressure that we have to control, and also the cost of the production as well needs to be optimized as well, because nowadays we have different technologies that we can obtain hydrogen, but the problem is the cost to produce it. The cost associated is too high. We have also in Brazil different technologies to produce hydrogen in different ways, and also, for example, the most promised one is the green hydrogen production, that we are in a country over here in Brazil that have too much opportunities to generate hydrogen with a low cost. I mean, low cost compared to the other technologies, but it's not that cheap as it should be. But the problem is the compression and also the transportation of this gas. It can be like liquefied. It can be like that is also technologies to absorb the CO2, the hydrogen, sorry, onto adsorbent surface and also pores. But there is no a high maturity level for these technologies. So we have different problems with that needs to be solved first, then to expand the transportation of this gas first. For example, we can also mix the hydrogen with natural gas and put it in ducts to be transport the natural gas, the hydrogen with the natural gas combined. Also, we can convert it to ammonia and then also send it to other countries via ships. But it still has been challenging to develop a technology that it can be promising and also safe as well, because as we know, it's too explosive, and also the energy density is so intensive as well that it is required to transport safely the hydrogen.
Okay, thank you, Douglas. Marcelo? You're on mute.
We started first as hydrogen market globally is an emerging new business. I think the first challenge for export purpose is the right volume and balance of demand and offer. So basically today there still has a lack of offtakes or the demand to be consistent, and because the demand is not there yet, so the trade lanes and the volumes that are expected and forecast to store and transport for export purpose are still very shy in terms of volume, and this of course generates challenges of economy of scales. I think these are the first one that in any new technology and new business, we see this happening in the curve of the early adopters until it pick up and then get it in a new level of volumes. The second is what Douglas said, hydrogen to store and transport is very expensive at the gas scenario. So what we use for now is to have a carrier to transport the hydrogen for long distance and to store in a safe mode and economic mode. So currently most of the world is using basically ammonia to transport, to be the carrier of hydrogen. And the reason it's simple is because ammonia is liquid at minus 20 centigrades, and hydrogen is minus 278 centigrades. So when you transport a long distance gases, you need to transport it at a liquid situation, a liquid solution. So density is still one of the technologies being applied as a carrier. We don't know if ammonia is going to be the only carrier, but it's considered the current carrier. And because it's ammonia is a dangerous product when in the atmosphere. So the next challenge to store and transport are, of course, the safety involved on all the operation. Basically, us in Stolthaven, we do invest a lot in Industry 4.0. There's an array of new technologies available, sensors, artificial intelligence, and softwares that help us now to have different controls of points of analysis between the process of receiving ammonia, storing ammonia, transporting ammonia, and along the ships. And this is technology that's been getting cheaper and cheaper, and going to be heavily used for the ammonia operations for the hydrogen purpose. And the last mention I will say in terms of technology, is that in a world with a lack of economy of scale, we are proposing our project in Brazil that we'll talk later, it's in Pecém, is share tanks solution. So it means that once the producers don't have enough volume or have their own big tanks, we are proposing a share tank solution, a pool of tanks available for several different ammonia producers in Pecém, and this will help to get through these costs when the volumes still needs a time to pick it up.
Very nice, Marcelo. Thank you both, Douglas and Marcelo. We'll move to the second question, very correlated as well, starting now with Paula. If we're talking about exportation, compressing and storing naturally is a very relevant part of the chain. So, Paula, what technologies and solutions NEUMAN ESSER can offer to storing hydrogen? And if you may also comment in terms of technology, maturity, thinking of large-scale project, are we there yet? Or do we still have work to do in terms of maturing and scaling up that technology?
Well, in the industry that we are in, we always have a lot of work to do. So the thing about hydrogen is that it is the fuel with the highest energy content by weight. Unfortunately, it is a gas molecule, so at the atmospheric conditions, it only carries 90 grams per cubic meter. Therefore, compression is essential. So you need compressed hydrogen. And for that, we have almost 100 years of experience in hydrogen compression systems, especially for the petrochemical industry, but now applied to this new hydrogen with low emission market. So hydrogen is the same molecule, but now we are foreseeing more demand that we have right now for the current market. Therefore, we have diaphragm compressors that are extremely efficient for small to medium volumetric flows with high output pressure. So this technology for compression could reach 5,000 bars, for example. So this is a lot of pressure. For high volumes hydrogen with small to medium output pressures, we have piston compressors, which have 100 years of experience and a lot of cases in Brazil and worldwide. And when you have high volumes with high pressure, where high pressure is needed, you can also have a combination of those. So this is compressed hydrogen. You also can store hydrogen in its liquid form. And for that, you need also compression, cooling systems, and expanding the hydrogen. So the hydrogen needs to be cooled down to negative 253 Celsius. So this is colder than the winter of Antarctica. And you need a lot of energy for that, especially in Brazil, especially in the north coast of Brazil. And but the bright side is liquid hydrogen, it's energy consuming by the exporter side, not the importer side. So when you are saying Brazil or Latin America, it should be a lot of low cost, low emission energy available for doing that. You also have new emerging technologies for storing hydrogen. So, for example, material science is working a lot with metal hybrids or MOFs, but it's still in a very early stage of developing. And as Marcelo said, ammonia seems to be the how can I say, the most preferable choice for exporting hydrogen. 85% of the export projects, they choose ammonia as the hydrogen carrier, but you also have methanol and also all other liquid organic hydrogen carriers, such as ethanol, that we have here in Brazil. So we need to study what we have available and also see what type of infrastructure could be used for other purposes or already exist that could be used for this new market. And still for sure other types of technologies for storing, like the underground storage of hydrogen in salt caverns. But it is very promising, but it has also its downsides. For example, it leaks a lot and some bacteria consume the hydrogen. So we have several options. Ones are more mature, for example, liquid hydrogen, we already use for rocket as a fuel, and other ones are new, and we are still studying how they could be technical and economically viable.
Thank you, Paula. Marcelo, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just to complement Paula, I think in terms of when we talk about the technology applied to storage, we have to consider that the technology used is not so much different from ammonia to natural gas or LPG. And basically these industries are well structured in the world for many years. So it means that we do not need a breakthrough new technology to build tanks to store ammonia. So basically what is being done is more an upgrade, basically on two pieces. One, I will say that the tanks are getting larger. So when we talk about projects that we see in US and Brazil, in Europe, we see now tanks of 60,000 to 80,000 cubic meters each. In the past, this was not even feasible to consider a construction of such big tank and all of that. The second is about the double wall construction. Although the materials still are basically the same, as Paula said, there is still a lot of research on new alloys and new leads, but in principle, the carbon steel is still used for construction of tanks storing LPG, natural gas, and ammonia. But the difference is that now is being built in a technology with double walls. So it means if you have a rupture of the first cask, you still have the second one to contain the gas. So that really is a double contingency in terms of safety that gets these tanks, when they are built, that you don't need to open it for 20 years. And basically what you have, as explained before, we do have then several array of new sensors and technology to inspect the tanks without human factor. So basically, for example, robots does a lot of work on inspection, welding, and small maintenance pieces on such of tanks. Considering that also that the technology is evolving for a highly productive operation. So basically, a product comes in pipes and get out in pipes. So if that is the situation, for example, in Pecém is that came, and most of the new tanks are built on pipe in and pipe out. So basically, you take it out to the human factor on the process of loading and unloading, and you get basically to a control room with many sensors and, as I said, artificial intelligence to help. So basically, I see more the construction going and technology going on this side, on the way we construct the tanks and the way that we put technology to monitor the safety operations.
Great, Marcelo and Paula, thank you. Let's bring in now Alessandra to the conversation. For those who doesn't know, the port of Pecém is the port in Brazil that is housing the largest number of large-scale green hydrogen projects under development. So I'd like to ask Alessandra, how is the port of Pecém approaching the challenges of the storing infrastructure, and not only, but also the utilities needed, such as water and power supply?
Great question, Eduardo. Thank you so much. So as I mentioned, we have launched the Green Hydrogen Hub of Complexo of Pecém in February 2021. And our industrial and port complex has been working with this concept of shared infrastructure solutions to serve all future producers. Pecém already has 6 pre-contracts signed with 6 different companies. So Fortescue, Casa dos Ventos, Auren, FRV, Voltalia, and Fuela. Already have signed pre-contracts with us so that they can develop their feasibility studies and come to a conclusion that they will be able to move forward on their final investments decisions, so that we will have actually producers in the near future in Pecém. So what we are doing is that we are working with a total area of around 1,700 hectares of land, including an export processing zone area for production, for the installation of the electrolysis plants, and export processing zones offer excellent administrative, exchange, and tax incentives for exporting industries. We also have a utility corridor and an ammonia tanks in storage shared solution. And let me also highlight that all of that already have a prior environmental license issued. So our company granted the prior environmental license for the production area, for the utilities corridor, and for the ammonia tanks and storage area, meaning that the producers will have their environmental licensing for the installation of the project, for the phases of installation. So what we will have is a company providing the water solution. The sewage from our capital, Fortaleza, will be treated, and so we will have reused water that this company will provide for all the producers according to their requirements. We also will have a company responsible for the transport, the storage, and the dispatch of the green ammonia to the ships. And this company was selected through a careful selection process. Our potential ammonia operator was already announced. It's Stolthaven GES. And we will also have a new substation. A new substation will be built in Pecém, substation Pecém 3, in order to supply the energy demand of all the electrolysis plants. I also would like to add that the Green Hydrogen Hub of Complexo of Pecém is a state project. We also have a shared governance for this project, having the government of the state of Ceará, having the Federation of Industries of the state of Ceará, our company, Complexo of Pecém, and the Federal University of the state of Ceará working together, having a common goal to develop this beautiful project. This way, we believe that we will have the lowest cost of green hydrogen in the country and perhaps in the world. which is what we have been working very hard for the last 4 years. And of course, Eduardo, we will also make new investments in expanding and adapting our liquid bulk pier at the Pecém port terminal, where the liquid ammonia, the carrier of the green hydrogen, as Marcelo explained, will be shipped. So the funds have already been obtained for these new investments with the approval of the World Bank. So this is what we understand as shared infrastructure solutions, and this is our main goal here.
Those are great news, Alessandra. Thanks for sharing with us. Before I make the next question to Marcelo, just to remind our speakers that we have already 9 questions on the Q&A box. If you can take a look at them to see if we can answer any of them in advance. Otherwise, in the end of our questions here, we'll try to cover as many as we can. So moving to the 4th question, specifically to Marcelo, Alessandra mentioned Stolthaven as the winner of the ammonia storage, shared storage project. So Marcelo, can you tell us more about this project, details of the scope, and how is it going to serve the local green hydrogen producers, please?
Yeah. Yeah, after a very screening and long process of almost 3 years, I think we are delighted to be selected as the operator for Pecém. And this winning award gives us the opportunity to build shared tanks up to a limit where we do have exclusivity for handling storage for the port of Pecém. And after the limit, then we are competing with same basis with all other any provider that want to come in. I think the reason to have only one is what I explained before, because once the challenge is the economies of scales, and considering that the price per cubic meter storage and transport drops a lot depending the volume, so it's very volume sensitive. It makes a lot of sense to have shared tanks among the different ammonia producers. So in principle, we are going to build 2 tanks, but the project can go up to 5 tanks. In the big ones, I think the size and the number of tanks now is being confirmed by some mathematical simulations we are doing with the first group of ammonia producers that we call anchor producers, that Alessandra already mentioned that. The challenge now is to make the project, the feasibility studies, the FID, and the construction of the terminal being synchronized at the same time with the ammonia producers, right? So that's where we are. We needed to go not later, not before what the first production will come in. And the second thing I think is that we, as a long partner in the port operations in Brazil and global, only in Brazil we are more than 42 years. We're also port operator in Santos, and we operate with different types of cargo. I think we see that these new customers, that they normally come from the energy sector, not all was used to have logistics operation with liquids, because although it's a gas, we will convert it to a liquid to transport, as we mentioned, as ammonia. So I think this is a rapid way of provide expertise in ports, ships, and storage to energy companies that are not normally used in their DNA, that logistics piece. So I think this is a combination of a subject matter expert and how we are going to do the operation, plus the shared tanks. I think also that we have a lot of work together with the port of Pecém, as Alessandra mentioned, and also with customs. So we are building now also solutions that we already seen this in in grains. For example, in Paranaguá, for soy or corn, there's already shared tanks available for operations for make it easy customs exports. We also needed to consider that in Pecém, the hydrogen will be produced in a ZPE, so it's an export zone. That's the kind of tax-free zone. So it also requires for the operator in the terminal to have special regimes of customs to make sure that we keep this free zone corridor up to the ship. And this is where we are now. So there is a big area on regulatory ongoing, a second group on engineering and technology working together with the ammonia producers in order that we synchronize at the same time to have the solution ready when the first tonnage of hydrogen will be produced.
Great, Marcelo. Thanks for the answer. We'll move now a little less or from the technical side to more strategical side. So finally, we'll bring Eric to join us in the discussion. So Eric, in your view, what are the main commercial, economical, and technological bottlenecks and challenges to finally unlock those investments in green hydrogen export projects, be it in the port of Pecém or thinking of Brazil in general?
Well, thank you, Eduardo. I would like to say that Brazil has significant potential to lead the global hydrogen market, but some challenges will still need to be addressed. I would like to focus in 4 major areas. First, certification is both an opportunity and a challenge. On one side, Brazil is the only country in Latin America with an operational certification system for clean hydrogen. And with the new hydrogen framework approved last year, the system is under the law now. This system aligns with international standards like RED II from Europe. However, without a formal regulation from key markets like Europe, Brazil cannot fully access premium buyers. For me, achieving this approval is fundamental for securing long-term contacts and unlocking the country's full export potential. Another point is that the limited long-term agreements create some kind of insecurity for investors. While the clean hydrogen framework provides $3 billion to support projects, I believe that maybe this alone is not enough. Brazil needs tools to make demand more stable and attract funding. In my opinion, work with global banks like World Bank and IDB can help finance important parts of the value chain for this market, like terminals, pipelines, even for the production of hydrogen. These investments will help reduce risks for investors and unlock the full potential for the market. Another thing important is about infrastructure. For me, it's a key priority. We can see ports like Pecém in Ceará or Açu in Rio de Janeiro with detailed feasibility studies, and new hubs like Piauí are being evaluated. These locations are closer to renewable energy sources, making them ideal for clean hydrogen production. However, additional investments is needed in facilities for clean ammonia, clean methanol, storage, transportation to make Brazil more competitive. Finally, Brazil must secure long-term supply agreements with key importers. We can see in the last years countries like Australia, India, Canada working to have some deals with Europe and Asia, and Brazil still lacks some kind of contracts that provide more market stability. I believe that if Brazil start to build this kind of partnership with buyers in Europe or Japan and Korea, this will increase confidence in the Brazilian market and attract investments. In my opinion, without these agreements, Brazil has some kind of a risk to lose this competitive. In my opinion, solving these 4 challenges is what will position Brazil as a global leader in clean hydrogen. We have a high potential to explore, but of course, we need to work in some preconditions to put Brazil in this position.
Great, Eric. Thanks for the answer. Paula, you on your daily basis represent the sales of electrolyzers to local projects. So in your view, who is there dealing with those project developers, what are those bottlenecks and challenges? What is holding those investors to make larger projects, the final investment decision for larger projects to export?
Yeah, and it's important to highlight that this is not a problem just in Brazil. I think it's worldwide. If you see the amount of low emission hydrogen that we will be needing in 2030, worldwide, only 3% of this production has reached the final investment decision or is under construction project. Of course, this number is even lower if you see Latin America. So it's around 0.1% or a little higher. Only those projects have reached the final investment decision or are operating. Of course, the projects that we have right now under construction or operating are demonstration projects or small-scale hydrogen production for local demand. So as a globe, as a worldwide, we need to address, in my point of view, some problems. And of course, that meets exactly what my colleague just said, what Eric just said. The first one is uncertainty about regulation and the certification of this hydrogen for global trade. So if you don't know the rules, or at least devil lives in the details, so you need to know how to certify your hydrogen to export. And this theme, of course, should be addressed. So Europe accounts for 75% of the announced importation projects. So it is a target market for Brazil. And for sure, it should be highlighted and focus on that. But of course, you also have export opportunities to Asia and other sites. So this is one thing, and maybe the most important one. Another one is the export and import infrastructure required for this scale. As Marcelo said, we already know how to export ammonia due to the chemical industry, but now we are foreseeing much higher volumes of that. So in Brazil and in Latin America, we will need a lot of investments on this infrastructure side, which takes usually a long time to take place. And another one is to create demand. It's to close contracts for exportation, but as well as creating demand for domestic use of this hydrogen. As it was also said here during the discussions, to lower the price, you need economy of scale, and you only can do that by creating demand. And this is just the top of the iceberg. We need to address several matters to be positioned as one of the major exporters of hydrogen and its carriers.
Great. We'll reach to our final question here, and then we'll have some time here for one or maybe two of the questions that are already on our box. I see that some of the speakers are already replying to some of the questions. So the final question that we arranged here is about what strategies may Brazil adopt to consolidate its global leadership in hydrogen exports and strengths its production hubs. So I'll again start with Eric, and then I'll let everyone else comment as well.
Thank you, Eduardo. Brazil is one of the most competitive producers of clean hydrogen. We believe that the production cost will be between $3 and $6 per kilogram in 2030. But of course, we need to emphasize in four major areas, in my opinion. The first, I'll talk about a lot of hydrogen, but my opinion, Brazil should focus on clean hydrogen derivatives like ammonia, fertilizers, and SAF. These products are easier to store, transport, and meet the needs of industries like agriculture, shipping, aviation. For example, ammonia is vital for the carbonization, farming, and heavy industry and heavy transport, while SAFs will play a key role in aviation culture in Brazil and Europe. By leading in these products, in my opinion, Brazil could diversify export, attract more funds, and create a long-term demand. Another point, very important for me, Brazil can use its expertise in energy projects to grow the clean hydrogen sector. Brazil has many decades of experience managing large-scale energy systems like hydroelectric plants, offshore platforms. In my opinion, this expertise can support clean hydrogen projects, including pipeline, storage, transportation. Another point is how you can create, it's so important for me, a link between domestic and international markets. A healthy domestic market will stabilize production and reduce risk for investors, while international market will offer the scale needed to lower costs. Sectors like steel, chemical, transportation, in my opinion, are perfect for adopting clean hydrogen in Brazil. At the same time, export will attract funding, improve the supply chain, the value chain of the sector. In my opinion, combine domestic demand and export, Brazil can create a more balanced and resilient hydrogen economy, where domestic and international markets reinforce each other. It's not a choice. Oh, we'd like focus on that or that. No, in my opinion, we can go with both ways. Finally, Brazil should position itself as a global leader in hydrogen innovation. I believe that investing in new technologies like advanced electrolyzer and scalable system will set Brazil apart. The new hydrogen framework approved last year, and with $3 billion, a lot of money, can fund private investments, while a partnership with global banks can finance critical infrastructure. Brazil should also lead international discussion to shape global rules and standards for hydrogen. Brazil is not a small country that just need to accept these standards. Brazil need to participate of the definition of these standards. In my view, focus in these 4 or 5 areas are strategic for make Brazil a global leader in the clean hydrogen to export or to attend the internal domestic demand.
Thank you, Eric. Douglas, can you add your view, please?
Yeah, thank you. So when you think about Brazil, we can see that we are a large country. We have a lot of opportunities to grow as a great producer of hydrogen, especially because we have favorable climatic conditions to produce hydrogen, due to the high intensity of sun and wind as well. So we can use this kind of conditions also in our side to produce green hydrogen with a lower cost compared to other countries such as US, China, and Middle East as well. We can also focus on in combining technologies, do not only focusing to produce ammonia to carry as a carrier of hydrogen, but we can also mix technologies such as LOHC, that is the conversion of hydrogen, mix the hydrogen with liquids, and also we can absorb the CO2, the hydrogen in adsorbents as well. and then transport it in a safe way. Also, we can develop different materials that can absorb the hydrogen, such as zeolites and active carbons that with more interaction with hydrogen, and to hold this molecule for a long time in a safe way as well, and aiming to reduce the cost of the storage and also the transportation of hydrogen. But from this, we have to create internally, I mean nationally, initiatives to motivate the science towards this pathway to be lower, to have lower cost and also great impact over here, also worldwide. So very infrastructure and manufacturing process needs also to be improved in Brazil, because we have a lot of potential, but we don't have too much motivation over here. I mean, political motivation to develop the hydrogen production over here in Brazil. Also, from in the end of this stage, we can get like safety conditions to transport hydrogen in a safe way to Europe or to other countries as well. We have a lot of facilities in Brazil to transport hydrogen, because we have a lot of ports over here in Brazil that can transport hydrogen, and also we have a large natural gas production that can be used as a carrier gas as well to transport hydrogen as well. So yeah, I think Brazil needs to focus more in the internal science, in the national science, to develop techniques and also pathways towards hydrogen production and transportation.
Thanks, Douglas, and I'm happy that you already covered a couple of questions here from Ken Sindirek about the OHC and other solid state hydrogen storage, and also using natural gas pipelines. Very good.
Yeah.
So I'll pass to Alessandra. Do you have anything to add, please?
Well, much has already been said here, but as a commercially oriented person, every day, I think maybe our country could focus a little more on trade promotion, talk a little more about ourselves and the great potential of Brazil towards this subject at an international level. Establishing international agreements, focusing on off-taking. Innovation is also very important, investments in research. We are also developing an innovation center in our green hydrogen hub here in Pecém as well. And maybe also explore a little better internally the issue of energy transition and Brazil's great potential to be a leader in this subject. Because sometimes I have the impression that this subject is very well understood among those who work directly or indirectly in this segment. But I think that maybe talking more about this, talking more in all spheres, reaching the largest number of people in the country as possible would also be important. So webinars like this are very important, and I hope that we have more moments like this.
Great, Alessandra. Thank you. Marcelo?
Sure. I just want to complement that maybe for Brazil is important a strategy on a state strategy for long term. Where are the clusters and niches players where hydrogen will be required? Because we have an array of different green energies, including what was already said, ethanol and all the agriculture power with different animal fat, for example. We also have all the dams and hydrostatic energy. We have the sun, we have the wind power. So I don't see that hydrogen is needed for all the country. So I think basically cluster policy to define, for example, specific for the skills or for exports. That's very, very key on that. And combine it to a policy, state policy, it comes along with regulations and comes along financing, because we know that Brazil still have a very high cost of capital that makes it difficult for companies to fund by local banks, by even BNDES or Banco do Nordeste. They have to follow the CDI, and we know how high is this taxes right now. The second is about the regulation. We have now a new hydrogen law that needs now to be regulated and make sure that the agencies that's going to control that law understands the challenge. For example, the Agency of National Petroleum is going to be the agency to control a green hydrogen energy. So it means that an agency that comes from a fossil fuel mindset needs to adapt the mindset of the agency, regulatory agency, to a green energy fuel, right? So there are this kind of regulations and legislations that also for investors, we needed to have what we always call having this security on legislation to make sure that once we get to the legislation, the regulation is going to work pro-business and not against the business. I think that's what Brazil needs to do a good homework on that. And finally, I think incentives. We see that all countries, even including US and Europe, to start and get to that economy of scale, we still need a lot of incentives. So, for example, today the green ammonia is quoted in Europe around $540 per ton. And in principle, it's forecasted that our green ammonia in Europe will be around $900, $950 per ton. Even if we are highly competitive, it's still $400 difference from gray ammonia. So that means that, or in Brazil or in Europe, if we want to sell and close that gap, that we will need to have incentives from both governments to start this new business until we get economies of scales enough that in the future, the production of green ammonia will be similar to the gray ammonia, or at least very close in order that business can operate as a normal way. So I think that these are the four parts that Brazil needs to be as a country step in, and we are delayed. If we see neighbors like Chile, for example, they are much more advanced than us in terms of regulatory incentives and others. And then, of course, the well-developed countries, US, Europe, Australia, and Norwegian, Scandinavian countries, they are all having this path a little bit way forward. So I think that's the key also milestone to make sure that the hydrogen market gets scale and it will be sustainable in Brazil.
Thank you, Marcelo. It's interesting that you mentioned this price arbitrage between gray ammonia in Europe and our potentially our green ammonia landed in Europe. That's also a main reason why people are more optimistic now about consuming that green ammonia in Brazil, as we're importers, mainly importers of green ammonia. So in Brazil, that logistic gap is much different as we're importing. But anyways, I'll pass the word to Paula to close up the question, please.
Thank you, Tobias. I think the majority of the points were already covered by my colleagues, but two things maybe that could consolidate Brazil as the leadership in H2 export. So issues that should be addressed. It's also, besides the incentives, which is of course needed for any new emerging market to take place, like we've done in the past with other types of fuels like ethanol, we also need to address who will be the manpower that will be operating and doing the maintenance of those plants. Because right now, We also have a limited personnel that is specialized in this type of facility. And one thing that we may have that most of other countries do not have is an integrated and full renewable electrical energy grid. This is a very differentiates Brazil from the others. Of course, the majority of the projects might have energy source dedicated to that production. We could also use our interconnected renewable grid to produce hydrogen and mitigate problems that we have with renewable sources like we passed through in the past year, when you have a lot of energy capacity producing energy, but do not have the ways or the demand to use that energy, and that can cause a lot of trouble, and we could be producing hydrogen and storing that as a type of battery. So, but I think most of the matters were covered by my colleagues previously.
Thank you, Paula. And that clean power matrix that we have a lot of hydropower, which is base load. So this is also a competitive advantage. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. I'll just address one question from the public. 6 of them were already answered by the speakers. So just to attend Ricelli da Luz that sent us a few questions here, I'll address one to Eric. So Eric, how do regulatory frameworks in Brazil support the export of clean hydrogen? You mentioned the $3 billion incentives, maybe some tax breaks. If you could elaborate a little bit on that, and then we close up the webinar.
Sure, of course, I will be fast. I would like to mention 2 things. One, certification. How I said before, Brazil is the only country in Latin America with a certification system. And CCE has worked a lot to ensure that our system aligns with European standards like Renewable Energy Directive 2. Our focus now is to have this certification system formally recognized in Europe. It's important, a key point. We need to certify our hydrogen. We can say that it's green, it's clean, but the buyer needs to agree with that. Another thing is not about regulatory, but it's related to, it's about market. It's not just about regulation, but it's also about being present in the markets. Europe has been organized several hydrogen auctions to ensure long-term supply contracts, but Brazil has not participated in these opportunities. For me, it's the European market will be the right market now, especially for our first projects, because Europe is currently not the only, but the most important region wanting to pay the premium price needed to make hydrogen projects viable. Then for me, the second thing is about the market. We need to be present in the European market. We need to participate in the hydrogen auctions to establish our market here. For me, it's the 2 important points to connect with Europe and establish this market.
Perfect, Eric. So, well, I'd like to finish by thanking all of our speakers, Marcelo, Eric, Paula, Douglas, Alessandra, to thank ATA Insights for promoting this webinar, for inviting me as well as the moderator, namely to Helena Furtado and Maria Mendicude. And for those still not aware of the event REMAD Brazil in April in São Paulo, please check out the agenda. It will be very interesting. And that's it. Thank you all, and have everyone a good day.